Part 8, Cognitive Psychology, Retrieval and Encoding Failure. Yes, we're talking about failure today. We never really forget anything. Everything we've ever experienced, learned, has been retained in our mind. It's not a matter of retention, it's a matter of retrieval. Memory does not fade away, but sometimes we have conditions in which we're unable to access this knowledge stored in long-term memory. That's called a failure. Interference theory is when retrieval failure is caused by neural pathways that get cluttered up with other information. There is an interference. Either old knowledge impedes learning, encoding new information, or new knowledge impedes retrieval or remembering. And we have special terms for that. Retroactive interference. That is when retrieval failure is caused by something that occurred after the initial learning. For example, when I grew up, I knew how to play tennis. I played tennis until I was about 25. Then from ages 25 to 45, I played a heck of a lot of racquetball, but no tennis. When I went back a couple years ago to try to play tennis, all that racquetball stuff got in the way of my remembering how to play the game of tennis. It took me a while. Proactive interference is when old knowledge gets in the way of learning stuff, learning new stuff. An example, I used WordPerfect for years. Oh, I became very proficient at that. This was about 10 years ago. Then when Microsoft Word, when I had to learn that, I had a lot of trouble learning that because all that WordPerfect knowledge got in the way of my learning a new type of word processing program. That is an example of proactive interference. You can see some examples there. Proactive, retroactive. We have terms for that. An analogy, information processing model. Putting stuff in is like putting stuff in a storage locker. We have information, and we look to put it in our long-term memory someplace. Encoding is when we put it in a box, and the box goes in just the right place in our storage locker. It's nice and organized. Now, if we only go back to that place once and there's a lot of other stuff that gets in the way, that pathway isn't very wide, and we sometimes have trouble remembering where it is because we've put other stuff in the way. If we go back and visit it many, many times and we create a very wide path, a lot of associations, we can go right back and get that information. Retrieval is when you go back and you find the box, you know exactly where it is, and you bring the box out and you take the particular item out. Having this nicely organized storage locker enables you to find just the exact thing in the exact box. I just gave you an analogy to help you remember this new information. Implications. Learning is a part of learning. Memory is a part of learning, but it is not learning in and of itself, just putting things into long-term memory. Information is not knowledge until it is connected to something meaningful, meaningful learning. Enables us to retrieve past knowledge, activating relevant schemata, getting the information that we know up on the desktop helps us see where this box goes, how it's related to other things. So background knowledge, activating relevant schemata, you see how this new box relates to other boxes in the storage locker room. Storage locker, so you know exactly where it is. So you have this nice organized storage locker here. And the third one, we want to use strategies to encode and retrieve information. And we talked about some various strategies in a previous video. All right, the end, retrieval and encoding failure.